Hey there folks, spring's just around the corner and summer will quickly follow. And I bet a lot of you are planning trips to either Alaska or maybe the Northwest or even the Great Lakes to pursue salmon. And it's tough to get a salmon rod on an airplane, and there are not a lot of options out there in terms of travel rods for salmon anglers. I've traveled all over the world chasing salmon, from Hokkaido, Japan to Chile. Now this video is going to primarily be geared towards bank anglers, so these are all going to be spinning rod models. I may do a boat travel rod model video at some future date. All right, let's get started. So the first one up is the KastKing Valiant Eagle. If we can get that to focus on that there. There you go. This is an 8'6" rod. They rate it as heavy with 1 to 3 ounce lures. 15 to 40 pound. I think they grossly overestimated the power on this rod. They rate it as a power heavy, but it's really closer to a medium. It's not even really a medium heavy, it's a medium. We tried throwing some 2 and 3 ounce spoons for chum salmon in Hokkaido on this thing, and it felt like it was a little underpowered for that. It was a little underpowered for handling large, powerful salmon. That being said, it's really lightweight. It's very affordable too. It's only $65. It's a graphite blank and it has cork handles and plastic reel seat. But I do like that it has an exposed blank here, so you can feel if you're doing any kind of drift fishing with that. That's really nice, having that direct contact with the blank down at the reel seat. It's an 8'6" rod, like I said before, spinning. It's got pretty good spacing on the guides. I like to see that relatively tight spacing. And one of the things that this rod and the next rod I'm going to talk about have in common is they have relatively small eyelets on the guides, and so that can be problematic if you're doing float fishing and you're using really large bobber stops. These were small enough that they would occasionally snag up, but we were still able to effectively fish with the thread style bobber stops. It is a 4-piece rod, so it breaks down really nicely. I really like 4-piece rods. They're just a lot easier to deal with in terms of packing. You can usually get them inside your check luggage. They're really easy to get through on carry-on, whereas you'll see later the 3-piece rods are quite a bit longer, especially if you want to get these 8'6" to 9 foot long fishing rods. So here you can see the 4-piece rods, and it measures just about 27 inches. So it really is compact. And this thing held up to a lot of fish, and this past year I've been really impressed with it. Again, the price point's really nice. It's $65. It comes with a plastic travel rod tube that has a couple pieces of foam. So if you want to use the tube that comes with it. I'm not a big fan of these plastic tubes. They tend to crack and break under pressure, but they do a decent job of protecting the rod. This one doesn't come with a rod sock or anything like that. I guess another nice thing about these is they're really lightweight, so it's not going to add a ton of weight to your luggage. So that's the Valiant Eagle from KastKing. I think this would be a great rod for smaller salmon species like smaller coho, pink salmon, steelhead, fish like that. So sea run, dolly varden, and it'll hold up really well fishing those species. All right, next up is the 9-foot Warrior model from Go Tour. This is also a 4-piece rod. There we go, nice and in focus. This has actually turned out to be one of my favorite salmon travel rods. It retails for about $75. It's extremely lightweight. It's the most lightweight rod that I have in my travel outfit for salmon, which is nice when you're trying to reduce weight on your luggage. It is a little bit unconventional for a lot of the salmon rod you'll see on the market, as it does not have a cork handle. It has sort of this grippy split handle down here, but most of the time, you're going to be holding the rod up here by the reel, and when you're fighting the fish, you're going to be using that or bracing underneath here. And it has a padded butt there, a foam butt that you can use to press it against when you're fighting a fish. But I also tend to choke up a little bit on the rod when I'm fighting big fish. Like I said, this is a 9-foot rod. It's all graphite. It's rated from 3/8 ounce to 1.5 ounce. It definitely can handle way more than that. This rod is classified as a medium heavy. I think they're pretty accurate on that. It's on the upper end of medium heavy. line class rating of 12 to 25 pound. We were running 40-pound braid on here and hucking huge spoons out into the surf for salmon in Japan, and it held up great. Even brought it home and used it on some of the local rivers for sea run salmon here in the Northwest. And yeah, both my wife and I were kind of fighting over this rod all the time when we were traveling. Each of us wanted to have this rod. It's got really attractive like reel seat. It's got exposed blanks right there, right at the reel seat, which is nice. And it's got like the carbon fiber little wrap on top of and bottom. It locks in really tight, really nice. I really like this rod. It's got bigger guides than the Valiant Eagle, but not much bigger, especially near the tip. But again, we were able to use that no problem with those thread style bobber stops. I think if you use the big rubber style bobber stops, it might catch in there a little bit more frequently. Like I said, this is a 4-piece rod, so it breaks down really nicely to this size here. Get you a measurement. So we're looking at about 28, 29 inches right there for those 4-piece rod. It's extremely lightweight, very strong. We loved this for big, powerful salmon. So fishing for kings, for chum salmon, or really large coho, this would be my top choice. Additionally, this rod comes with its own divided rod sock and a really nice fiber tube that you can pack actually multiple rods in this, which is what I typically do with these larger ones. I can usually get 2 rods in there, so I was able to get the Valiant Eagle and this rod all in this one tube, which was really nice. And the last rod I'm going to talk about, I've actually had for the longest amount of time. I've had this one probably getting on in almost 10 years. This is from Salmon Fishing Rods. They specialize in just making travel rods, which is why I wanted to include it in here. This is their 8'6" 3-piece rod. Now, I've had many of their rods, and many of their rods have broken on me, but this one's endured, and which is why I felt like it deserved some mention. Plus, they have a lot greater diversity of rods than anybody else out there. They have a lot of travel rods specifically designed for Alaska fishermen who are traveling up there. This is a graphite rod. It has really widely spaced guides, but they are larger, so they'll handle bobber stops better. But I think the spacing on this is just a little too much. I think that's why they tend to snap more than other ones. You have to kind of baby these rods a little bit more than those other ones. This is their medium heavy, 8'6", 12 to 30 pound line class rating, and 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce. Although I've had friends that have landed Dorado and stuff on this rod here from a boat, so it can handle, you know, high-speed trolling and heavier weights lures than this. It's a cork handle. It's pretty rough cork. It's definitely gotten chopped up quite a bit over the years, but it's still hanging on. Really simple, inexpensive reel seat. Not nearly as nice as the reel seats on those two, especially on that Go Tour. That Go Tour one has the nicest reel seat of them all, and you can see it's starting to rough up around the reel seat there. It actually makes it really hard to twist it on really tight, just because that plastic's starting to degrade a little bit. This retails for $140, and they have a lot of supply issues. I always notice a lot of their models are sold out. They do make a 4-piece, but it always just seems to be permanently sold out. I've had mixed experiences with their customer service, getting some of those broken rods and components replaced. So it's not my favorite rod company in the world, but they do have a diversity of rods out there. And as you can see, it's a 3-piece, so it's quite a bit longer. And let's get a measurement here. Yeah, so it's over my yardstick here, so it's probably like 34 or 35 inches. That's really hard to get into any sort of checked luggage. And sometimes airlines will give you a stink about bringing something like this as a carry-on. It comes with a plastic tubing just like the Valiant and a rod sock. The plastic tubing, like on the first time I took this thing out, actually cracked. I had it strapped to the outside of one of my backpacks, and just the airline throwing it around broke it. So I've always just carried it around in a cardboard tube ever since then. So that's the Salmon Fishing Rods Alaska Travel Series rod from Salmon Fishing. All right, I'll put links to all of these rods below. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section and I'll get back to you. And I'll see you out there in the water. Just remember, fish smarter, not harder.